Currently we have some issues. These are the issues. That issues type story, you can create a task, bug or epic. Now the use case is, as a user, I want to create a new issue type and I want to see it here in the project. So that for this, currently we have two projects, so let's create a new project. So we'll work on it. So let's go on a project, create new project, a Scrum project, click on next. Let me name it as learning Jira. Go to its backlog and let's say story 1. Let me create some story 2, story 3, story 4. Let me create some task 1. Sorry. So, yeah, tasks. Task 2, task 3. Let me create some bugs. Bug 1. Okay. Let me create an epic. Let's say epic 1. Epic. I'll just name it as epic. And create a version as well. Version 1. Assign it. Let me multiple select, assign it to the issue. And let's assign it to this version. So that's good. Let me create a sprint and move some. Let me close this. Okay. So let me move some stories and task and a bug to sprint 1. And let me start the sprint and of 2 weeks and just click on start. And let me change some. Yep. So we have a working sprint and a working project in 2 minutes. Now, a use case is that we want to create some issues. So for this, we need to go to issues and you can go to issue types. Now currently we have these issue types: bug, epic, story, task and subtask. Forget this, we will be covering this later on. So we want to create one issue. So let me click add on an issue and I want to name this. Let's say if any user want to create an issue of an improvement. Okay, a tester is testing and he thinks that some improvement can be done. It is not a bug or not a feature needs to be developed. It's just an improvement that might, in case we have time, so we can take this up. We don't want this as a subtask and click on add. So you have this improvement issue type here. Now let me go to issue type schemes. As you can see that for every project there is a scheme. You can see we have a sample Scrum project and it can have these type of issues. Kanban project, it can has these type of issues. And this is a project we created, a Scrum project, that is learning Jira. It has these type of issues. So our main objective is that we created a project, we created a new issue improvement and it is not a part of this. So we need to assign it here. So either I can do edit and I can move this improvement here, or I can just delete this issue and I can create add issue type and I can name it or can do that stuff. Okay, so let's create a new one. Let me name it as what the short form of this project we are following. That is Lear. Okay, so let me delete, or let me give a custom name so it can be identified. So I will name it LR Learning Jira. Lear correspond to a default one and I will name it as LR. So let me delete this. I don't want the default one. So let me add a new issue type and let's say name Learning Jira. Okay, and I can name it issue scheme. What type of issue types I want? Okay, I want bug, I want story, I don't want subtask. Okay, I want task, improvement and epic, and I click on save. So you can see I have this new issue type, but it is not associated to any project. So this is a issue scheme. As we have talked on a previous lecture, we have created this issue. It's not project specific. We can name it as a generic one or a default one, and we can assign projects to it. So all those projects which will be having this type of scheme would be having these type of issue types. For example, let me say associate. Currently we have three types of project. Let me say this project should be associate with this type of scheme. So now you see this project would be having these all issues. Let me again click on associate and let me say Kanban also. You see, sorry, Kanban is not here. Now Kanban will be following this type of issue. So let me switch back. Let me switch back to Learning Jira. And now Kanban will be following this type of default one because no issue is associated with it. Now let us check. Let me go to the customer account, refresh it. Let's go one by one. Now, Kanban. Kanban project is not assigned to any issue type, so it will follow the default issue type. So that is, it will have epic, story and improvement. So Kanban, so it has three issue types: epic, story and improvement. Now let's see the Learning Jira project. I've selected this and it would be having story, it would be having task. So in all it will be having 5 types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this Learning Jira account, in this project, we have successfully added a new issue type, improvement. This is how you can add. You can also associate it from the project settings. So if you go to the projects and if you go to Learning Jira project of ours, and if you go to issue types, so you can see this is the issue which we have created. So you can add it from here or you can add it from here also, which issue type you want to use. Okay, or you want to add subtask or not. So by any you can work with it. Either from the you can associate either from the issue types schemes by going with the associate, or you can go from the project. So this is how you can create an issue. Just to reiterate myself, you have to go to administrative settings and go to the issue type, and you have to create a new issue. Then you have to create a scheme. Scheme corresponds to set of all the issue types you want to have in your project, and then you can associate it with your project in which you want to the issue type you want to have. That's all for this lecture. Our use case is completed, that as a user you want to add a new issue type so that it can be viewed under the project create issue. Let's say you go to the task and you see these fields, and now you go to the improvement, the issue type we created, you will also see this screen, because the issue type which we have created, we have not assigned any specific screen or any fields to it. So it is opening the default screen of all the other issue types. In this lecture, our objective is, as a user, I want to have a screen for the new issue type which we have created. We have to go to issues. So by going to issue and issue types, we have created an issue and associated with a project. Now we want to change this screen. That is, we want to change the values. When we select this improvement issue type, we don't want those many fields. As it's an improvement, we don't want the epic link in which sprint we needs to fix this. So all those don't want to be shown on that screen. So we will be seeing that in our current lecture. How you can do? You can go through the screen sections. Just click on screens, and what you can say, you want to add a screen, and you can name for, let's say, for a learning Jira project, just name it learning Jira improvement screen, and I click on add. It shows more that on that screen what all fields you want to see. So let's see, I want to see the assignee, I want to see the description, I want to resolution, and let's say I want to go for, say, reporter. For the improvement, we want who has reported this improvement, to whom, what's the description, and what's the resolution. And we can also add the summary section. Okay. So these are all the fields we want to see. When we go to issue type, we select improvement, so only these fields would be shown. I go to back to project learning Jira. Sorry, not, I need to go to issues, right? So I have developed a screen here, that is improvement screen. Let me edit it and correct the name. We have to create it new issue screen. This was our first task. Second, as we have studied that all the activities handled through a scheme, so we have to create this new issue screen. Create scheme for this new issue screen. Currently we can see that for a bug we have a screen, that is a default one. For all other we have this. So we have to create a one scheme for LR improvement scheme. Okay, and the default screen is improvement screen. Now what we have done, we have created a scheme for this new issue. Now we have to make a set. Like when we created a issue, what we did, we created a issue and then we make a scheme having all the issues. Similarly here, we created a screen, plus we also created a scheme of issue types. Now we will be making a set of all the scheme we need to have in our project. So create scheme for our scheme reusable, that is new scheme for improvement plus other scheme for other issues. So it would be a set having all the schemes for all the issue types. You can add a issue type. You can name it at learning Jira issue scheme, default scheme, and you can just use that for improvement. You can use our scheme which we have created, and for bug you can use the bug scheme. Let's say Scrum bug screen. Okay, and that's all. So this is the scheme. We have created it, and this was the default one. So what we need to do, we need to integrate new generated scheme to our project. So how we can do? We can just go to projects. We can go to learning Jira. We can go to screens. So currently it is using the rear Scrum issue type as we have seen, but we want to change it. We would be using a different scheme, that is the customize, which we have created it, LG issue type scheme, and we can associate it. It is done, and if I go to here to my customer account and let me refresh my page and let me hit on create. If I click on create, if I go to project learning Jira, so I have all these issue types available. Let's say if I go to story, I have these all sections, but if I select the improvement, I have only these fields: assignee, description, resolution, reporter, and summary, because this is the new screen which we have developed for the improvement. This is how you can create a screen for your issue type. So in the previous section, how we can create an issue type. In this section, how we can create screens for that issue type. Just a repetition. So through screens, we can decide how that screen will look like, what fields it will have. Through screen schemes, that is this, we created a scheme that is reusable for the new issue type. Through issue type scheme screens, we created a scheme having this new issue scheme and the other schemes, so that it can be integrated or associated with a project, and then we integrate it to our project. That's how you can create a screen for an issue type. I hope these two lectures are really informative. First we created an issue, then linked that issue to a project, then we created a screen and linked it to a project. So we tried it to explain as easy as can. Nothing can be easy more than this. So just practice it. If it still feels confusing, just go to these lectures 1 or 2 times more. Also, plus try to do it on your own. If you're using company account and you don't have administrator access, create an account, a dummy account of your personal email ID, and try these features.